Thank you and good morning, everyone. And let me thank the organizers first for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to be part of this panel. In my remarks, I had discussed with Dr. Jaiswal that I'll be looking primarily at the Asian military spending as a reflection of the growing Asian insecurities. So many previous speakers have already mentioned as to how Asia is in a state of flux going through a geopolitical turn. Of course, the region has four of the world's emerging military powers: Russia, China, Japan, and India. It's also home to the five of the world's nine nuclear powers and some of the fastest growing and largest and fastest growing economies are in Asia, including Japan, China, South Korea, and India. But the fact that Asia still has several unresolved border and territorial issues and sovereignty issues continue to have a determining effect on the state of the major power relations in Asia. The current period of instability in both global and Asian affairs is dangerous. The reason for this instability lies, and of course, as the previous speakers highlighted, the transition of global power that is currently underway. Rise of China over the last two decades has been spectacular. Its rise is going to impact not just its neighbors in Asia, but the entire world. Great powers, of course, will always seek to dominate their neighborhoods and as much of the rest of the world as they can. There is nothing peculiarly Chinese about it, but one should not get carried away by the peaceful rise or the force for good rhetoric as well. Therefore, I would say that China's rise is likely to be as problematic, as tense, and destabilizing as that of any other power. China's rise will be much like that of other great powers in the past, no more destabilizing, but certainly no less so. But China, like others said, is not the only rising power in Asia. The fact that there is a simultaneous rise of other powers in Asia, a marginal increase by India, a return of a normal nation in Japan, the return of the re-emergence of Russia, all of this is perceived by China as threatening. This comes from China's worldview and in very hierarchical terms as it pursues its hegemonic goals. It appears that as these Asian powers grow, there is a potential for an uncertain future with destabilizing consequences. The situation appears ripe for problems because of some of the inherent problems in the region, including unsettled boundary and territorial issues, baggage of history of countries having gone into war with each other, inherent distrust among the major powers, nationalism, as well as uncertainties about China's military modernization and its purpose. There is skepticism also as to how these powers will behave once they become more powerful and stronger. For a decade or more, scholars have written about how China will behave as it grows stronger, but it's always been clear that it will have significant impact on the region. Several reports talked about as to how China has become more powerful, economically more powerful, its options increase, from using coercive diplomacy to use of force to score diplomatic advantages as well as in the resolution of border and territorial issues. And I think over the last few years, China's power has been in full display. One area that shows that Asia is on a precarious path is the growing defense spending, military spending in the region. According to the latest military balance, global defense spending for 2020 stood at $1.83 trillion, an increase by 3.9% in real terms. This this is slightly lower than as compared to 2019. Global military expenditure as percentage of GDP went up from an average of 1.85% in 2019 to 2.08% in 2020. The military balance further said that the global economic output had been severely impacted by the pandemic, seeing a contraction of 4.4%. There are some variations in these numbers. If you look at the SIPRI figures, another mother of think tanks in a sense, for instance, the total global military expenditure rose to about $1,981 billion last year, an increase of 2.6% in real terms from 2019. The five biggest spenders in 2020, which together accounted for 62% of the global military expenditure, were the United States, China, India, Russia, and the United Kingdom. Military spending by China has been growing for the 26th consecutive year. Despite the economic slowdown imposed by the COVID-19 pandemic, military spending has been maintained almost at the same level as the previous year. This at least partly illustrates the growing security competition that's clearly feeding the military spending. It's unlikely that this trend will reverse in the near term because there is no guarantee that the security environment in the Indo-Pacific will ease up anytime soon. About two-thirds of the total hike of 3 point by of 4% global military expenditure was contributed to by the increase in defense expenditure by the US and China. The US defense budget saw a hike of 6.3% in 2020 in real terms, and China's saw a slight reduction from 5.9% in 2019 to 5.2% in 2020. The global defense expenditure could see a slowdown in 2021 with the US defense spending set to flatten, and the Asia Pacific region is also likely to witness a decline on account of the economic impact of the COVID-19. The Indo-Pacific region, other than China, also saw a reduced growth in defense spending, declining from 3.8, a marginal decline from 3.8 to 3.6%. But given the size of the Chinese economy, for instance, the effect of China's slowdown has been marginal. In fact, the military balance points out that the China's defense spending hike in 2020, despite the slowdown at $12 billion, was still way higher than the combined defense budget increases in all the other Asian states. Russia's military expenditure, meanwhile, has also gone up, increased by 2.5% in 2020 to reach about $61.7 billion. This was the second consecutive year of growth. Nevertheless, Russia's actual military spending in 2020 was 6.6% lower than its initial military budget, a larger shortfall than in previous years. So how do you explain the growing military expenditure in the Indo-Pacific? Japan, for instance, has approved a record defense expenditure of 5.3 trillion yen, which amounts to about $51.7 billion for 2021. The approved budget saw a hike of 0.5% from the allocation of 2020. Japan's defense budget has seen the hike for 9 years now continuously, primarily on account of regional threats, including China and North Korea. China's assertive behavior, especially in the maritime domain, as well as North Korea's nuclear and missile threats, have been cited as important rationale for the continued hike in defense spending. Tokyo has also assigned funding for some of the unconventional and non-conventional areas like outer space, cyber, electromagnetic warfare, all of which have been a focus area for the People's Liberation Army, especially after the establishment of the PLA Strategic Support Force. In similar vein, India too has increased its defense spending in 2021-22. In the budget announced in February this year, the defense budget allocation saw a marginal hike of 1.4% from 4.71 trillion Indian rupees to about 4.78 trillion rupees in 21-22. In spite of the small hike, what was more significant was the allocation for capital spending at nearly 18.8%. This is particularly significant because the negative impact of the COVID-19 pandemic has been significant, but it clearly shows the government's priorities for the Indian defense sector in the face of the China threat, especially in the backdrop of the Galwan clash. Australia, another critical Indo-Pacific power, has also hiked its defense spending. In spite, again, of the pandemic effect, Australia is estimated to be spending about Australian dollar $42.75 billion, which is about 2.19% of the GDP. Reports indicate that this trend is to continue to reach up to about 2.3% of GDP by 2023-2024. So along with Japan and India, Australia too has been at the receiving end of China's muscular policies, including trade and economic cohesion, which has been now an increasing rationale for these countries to increase their defense spending. In Southeast Asia as well, the smaller powers are beginning to increase their military expenditure, Vietnam being one case in point, Singapore is another one. Other countries such as, Philippines and Indonesia have also been increasing their defense spending. In Northeast Asia, South Korea has stepped up its defense spending as well. So all in all, you have seen a growth in the military spending. And SIPRI data, for instance, also shows very similar trends. In fact, they assert the fact that Asian military spending has been going up since 1989, possibly as a consequence of the increasing wealth in the region. So given the changing balance of power in the Indo-Pacific, as well as China's aggressive behavior and the military aggressive posturing and belligerent behavior, this trend is likely to continue as for the foreseeable future. In fact, China's aggressive posturing, continuing air and naval intrusions into each of the smaller neighbors in the neighborhood, continue to be a worrying development, which will only accelerate the pace of military spending in the Indo-Pacific. There is also the life cycle driven military modernization that's taking place. So this is also an important aspect of the as to why you see an increased military spending in the region. While the economic impact of COVID-19 pandemic could be severe for countries like India, the security compulsions will continue to be a major imperative for Indian budget allocation, as well as for many other countries in the region. Like I said, countries like India, Japan have felt the pinch with their economies shrinking very badly, but at the same time, the security imperatives facing Tokyo, New Delhi, Canberra, and others in Southeast Asia, they are also very real. So these two opposing trends will decide where the Asian defense spending will go in the next couple of years. On the one hand, the pandemic will put pressure on defense budgets. On the other hand, the increasing insecurity and tension could provide further incentives for the budgets to grow. So which of these trends will dominate is difficult to predict, but it will depend on the amount of damage that the pandemic will do to each of these national economies and the level of insecurity that China will foist on the region by its attempt to use pandemic as an opportunity to expand. So unfortunately, this trend of increased military spending will continue, and with that comes the tendency to use of force and the tendency to find military solutions, which will only further accentuate the Asian insecurities. But the growing in Asian insecurities have also given way for some interesting partnerships. The internal capacity deficit on the part of many countries, as well as the greater convergence of strategic interests among a number of Indo-Pacific countries, have brought military and security partnerships among an unusual number of partners like the Quad, for instance. For India, at least, it was not the go-to comfort partner for a long time. But driven by the rapidly changing security dynamics, the Quad has become a viable option for India. Any number of multilaterals collaborating on security and strategic issues is a result of the Asian insecurities, and that's going to be an increasing feature. So let me stop there, and I'll be happy to hear your thoughts and comments. Thank you.